In the rolling green hills of rural Rwanda, where red earth paths wind between banana groves and modest mud brick homes, there stands a house unlike any other. It is small, unassuming, with a thatched roof worn by decades of rain and sun. But what sets it apart is the barrier that surrounds it, a tall, makeshift wooden fence, roughly 15 feet high, woven tightly with branches and scraps to block any view from the outside, and, more importantly, to keep the outside from coming in. Behind that fence lives Callixte Nzamwita, a man now in his 70s, who has not freely stepped beyond his compound in over half a century. For 55 years, he has chosen solitude over society, isolation over interaction, all because of an overwhelming, paralyzing fear of women. Callixte's story begins not in drama or tragedy, but in the quiet anxieties of youth. Born in the 1950s in a small Rwandan village, he grew up in a time when life was simple but hard. Families farmed the land, children helped with chores from dawn, and community was everything. Callixte was no different at first, a skinny boy with wide eyes, helping his parents tend crops, fetching water, and playing with other children in the dusty paths. But as he entered his teenage years, something shifted. Puberty brought not just physical changes, but a growing unease around girls. In village gatherings, dances, or market days, Callixte would feel his heart race when a girl approached. His palms would sweat, his voice would falter, and an inexplicable panic would rise in his chest. He couldn't explain it, not to his family, not to himself. Was it shyness, embarrassment, or something deeper? In interviews years later, Callixte would attribute part of his fear to poverty. "I was poor," he said in a soft, hesitant voice to journalists from Afrimax TV, the channel that brought his story to the world in 2023. "I feared women would laugh at me, reject me because I had nothing to offer. That fear grew until I couldn't bear being near them." Psychologists call this condition gynophobia, an abnormal, intense fear of women. It's not recognized as a standalone disorder in major diagnostic manuals but is classified as a specific phobia, similar to fears of heights or spiders. For most, phobias are manageable. For Callixte, it became all-consuming. By the age of 16, the fear had reached a breaking point. Village life meant constant interaction, girls carrying water jars on their heads, women chatting at the market, young women in colorful kitenge dresses passing by on the paths. Every encounter felt like a threat. Callixte's solution was radical. He decided to remove himself entirely from the world that terrified him. With whatever tools and materials he could gather, branches, wood scraps, woven reeds, he began constructing a fence around his family's small plot. Day by day, it grew taller, denser. His parents, bewildered and worried, tried to intervene at first. But Callixte was determined. "I built this wall so women could not come close," he later explained. "It was the only way I could feel safe." Once the fence was complete, Callixte rarely left. His world shrank to the confines of his yard and the single-room house inside it. He slept on a simple mat, cooked over a small fire pit using whatever supplies he could manage, and lived a life of extreme minimalism. There was no toilet. He dug shallow pits inside the compound for his needs. No running water, no electricity. Just him, his thoughts, and the safety of his barrier. Render_searched_image. The years passed. Rwanda changed dramatically around him. In the 1970s and 80s, political tensions brewed. Then came 1994, the genocide that tore the country apart, claiming nearly 1 million lives in 100 days of horror. Villages were ravaged, families slaughtered. Neighbors turned against neighbors. But inside his fenced compound, Callixte remained untouched. Hidden away, unseen, he survived one of the darkest chapters in modern history without ever emerging. Some might call it fortunate, others, a tragic irony, that his fear saved his life while isolating him from it. As decades rolled on, the village adapted to Callixte's existence. Neighbors knew of the man behind the fence. Children grew up hearing stories about him, whispering that he was cursed or mad. But the women of the community, ironically, the very group he feared, became his lifeline. They would approach the fence cautiously, never too close, and toss food parcels over the top. Bundles of bananas, potatoes, beans, or cooked ugali. They left essentials like soap or cloth at the base, calling out softly to announce their presence before retreating. Callixte would wait until they were gone, then emerge to collect the items. When we try to help him, he doesn't want us to come closer or talk to him, one neighbor woman told Afrimax. We give him things by throwing them into his house. He takes what we offer from a distance. This silent support system sustained him. Without it, he might not have survived. Yet it highlighted the profound paradox of his life. The women he dreaded most were the ones ensuring he didn't starve. Inside his world, days blended into one another. Mornings, wake with the roosters, tend a small garden patch within the fence for herbs or vegetables. Afternoons, sit in the shade, perhaps whittling wood or simply staring at the sky visible above the walls. Evenings, cook a meager meal over fire, eat alone, then sleep as darkness fell early in the rural night. Loneliness. Callixte claims not. The way I live is enough for me, he said in his interview, his voice calm but distant. I never thought about having a wife or children. I'm okay like this. Women scare me too much. But glimpses of deeper pain surface. In rare moments of openness, he admitted the fear stemmed from childhood insecurities amplified over time. No trauma like abuse is mentioned, just a snowballing anxiety that he couldn't control. He never sought help. Mental health resources were scarce in rural Rwanda, especially decades ago. When Afrimax TV visited in 2023, they spoke to him through the fence, respecting his boundaries. Callixte appeared frail but composed, dressed in simple, worn clothes. His home was sparse: a bed, a cooking area, storage for food. No luxuries, no companions, not even animals, as they might attract visitors. The video exploded online, viewed millions of times. People around the world reacted with shock, pity, fascination. Comments ranged from, "This is mental illness, he needs help," to, "Respect his choice, some people prefer solitude." Others noted the cultural context. In some societies, extreme shyness or fear of rejection in marriage can be profound, especially for those in poverty. Psychologists weighing in explained that untreated phobias can dominate lives. Exposure therapy, gradually facing the fear, helps many, but for Callixte, at his age and after 55 years, change seems unlikely. He expresses no desire for it. As he approaches his later years, questions linger. Who will care for him when he's too frail to collect food? Will the community continue their distant kindness? Or will his story end quietly behind the fence that both protected and imprisoned him? Callixte Nzamwita's life is a stark reminder of how fear, left unchecked, can reshape destiny. In a world that prizes connection, he chose separation, and found a strange peace in it. Yet it forces us to ask, what price do we pay for safety from our deepest terrors? And in avoiding pain, what joys do we forever forfeit? His fence stands tall still, a monument to one man's battle with his mind. Behind it, a life unfolds in silence, one that the world now knows but can never truly enter.